A few weeks ago, the FORWHY agency hosted our Black Style event. This year's theme was Black Socialite Patrons of the Arts. The event sold out, which I was deeply grateful for, but what stayed with me the most afterwards actually had very little to do with fashion itself. We had two guest speakers that evening. One was Alton Bryant from Reset 180, and the other was Erica Reed from the Department of Homeland Security's Blue Campaign. And both of them spoke about human trafficking. Now, when most people hear the words human trafficking, they tend to imagine one specific type of scenario. Something dramatic, something obvious, something violent and immediate. But what both speakers discussed was something much more psychologically unsettling. They talked about grooming, manipulation, the romance, the trust building, the slow and calculated way people can be emotionally influenced over time. And honestly, I left that evening thinking about how little most of us actually understand about the psychology behind exploitation. Fast forward to May 19th. I was at a local grocery store when I witnessed something that was immediately off. There was a man approaching women throughout the store, not aggressively, not loudly, actually the opposite, very calm, very polished, very approachable. He would walk up and say things like, "Hey, how are you? What's your name? I'm not trying to scare you. I just want to get to know you." And the moment someone showed discomfort or resistance, he would simply move on and continue searching for someone more receptive. Now, here's what disturbed me. The man did not look threatening. He looked ordinary, clean cut, put together, middle class, suburban. He looked like someone you might see in a J. Crew catalog or walking through a Banana Republic store. Polo shirt, clean shorts, neat appearance. He looked safe. And I think that's what unsettled me. Because had this same man appeared disheveled, visibly unstable, unhoused, or suspicious by traditional societal standards, most people would likely avoid him immediately. But because he appeared polished, approachable, and socially familiar, there was a different level of openness initially extended toward him. And afterward, I spoke with someone who works professionally in this space, and they explained something that has honestly stayed with me since that initial conversation. They said this type of behavior can sometimes align with grooming tactics used by traffickers. Not immediate abduction, not dramatic violence, but gradual emotional access, the romance, the charm, the trust building, testing receptiveness. And that conversation forced me to think much more deeply about fashion, perception, and the social power of appearance. Because one thing we rarely discuss is how clothing shapes trust. Fashion is often discussed as self-expression, creativity, artistry, luxury, identity, status, or beauty. But fashion is also a social signal. A social signal that affects human behavior. The way someone dresses can completely alter how trustworthy we perceive them to be, how intelligent we assume they are, how safe we think they are, and even whether we allow them access to us emotionally. That, my friends, is power. And I don't think we discuss that enough. Fashion can function as armor, as aspiration, as seduction, as manipulation, as protection, as performance, as camouflage. And I think somewhere over time, we stopped recognizing how psychologically influential clothing actually is. At its core, clothing originally existed for function, protection, covering the body, warmth, utility. But over time, fashion evolved into something much larger. Now, clothing communicates class, desirability, wealth, taste, morality, professionalism, safety, social belonging, and even perceived innocence. And what's fascinating is how quickly we create narratives about people based entirely on appearance. We do it constantly without realizing it. A tailored outfit can soften suspicion. Luxury branding can create perceived legitimacy. A polished appearance can create emotional access. And none of that necessarily reflects someone's actual character. And to be clear, this video is not about blaming fashion. Fashion itself is not evil. Clothing is not inherently dangerous. But I do think we need more honest conversations about the psychology surrounding appearance, especially in America, where aesthetics increasingly shape identity and perception. We are living in an era obsessed with image, curated image, luxury image, soft life image, clean girl image, old money image, hyper femininity, hyper masculinity. And often we consume aesthetic before we evaluate character. That should concern us because aesthetics can be manufactured, presentation can be learned, and appearance is not morality. I think what's most unsettling about the grocery store experience was realizing how deeply conditioned many of us are to associate certain styles of dress with safety and trustworthiness, and honestly, myself included. Even when I knew something felt wrong, there was still a moment of hesitation because visually, he did not match society's stereotypical image of danger. And that says a lot about how powerful fashion and presentation truly are. Fashion is not superficial. It shapes human interaction. It influences access. It affects perception. It alters opportunity. And sometimes it can even disarm instinct. That doesn't mean we should become fearful of people, but it does mean we should become more conscious of how deeply image influences our judgment, especially in a culture increasingly driven by performance and aesthetics. I think the deeper question becomes, have we become so visually conditioned that appearance now overrides discernment? And if so, what does that say about us? Thank you for watching. If you're interested in deeper conversations around fashion, culture, sustainability, identity, and intentional living, you can join the FORWHY community. And I'll see you in the next memo.